Hello, everybody out there in YouTube land. And wow, Mercurius has already sent me a super sticker. So let me go ahead and get that one out of the way real quick before I start my rant, shall I? Let's see. We'll do this one. I haven't done this one in forever.
Sorry I broke your dungeon.
There we go. I love that. Nobody's seen that show except me, I guess. But that was from C, which is on Apple TV with Jason Momoa. And I don't think I'm the only person out there that watches Apple TV. I mean, there's quite a few good shows on it. Foundation I have mixed feelings about, but there's Murderbot, which finished up its first season, and it was actually pretty good. Couple of other things that I was really surprised I enjoyed was like Ted Lasso. Man, that show was just that's a great show. That is an absolutely great show. Everybody should see that, even if you're not a fan of football. And by that I mean soccer. Oh man. All right, you guys get your drinks out because I'm going to talk about a little Fist of the North Star real quick. So, not so long ago, we had the Fist of the North Star, the new 2026 anime preview drop. And we showed it off on the show twice because it was that good, in my opinion. And I even did a little kind of a reactionary thoughts comment video about it afterward. And it seems that the new animation is getting kind of a bit of hate from people. Mostly the complaint is, it's CG, and they don't like that, and I can understand, because I was hoping it wasn't going to be CG myself, but it isn't that bad, and there's a lot of anime out there that uses CG that still has a good enough story that you can overlook how good or bad the graphics are. Kengan Ashura is probably my favorite. Outside of Fist of the North Star. And Berserk, obviously, that was some bad CG, but the story was so good, even the bad CG didn't ruin it for me. And the CG in Fist of the North Star actually looks pretty good, so I'm hoping that it will still be a great story, and the CG won't be so bad. Although, I mean, obviously I know the story backwards, forwards, and sideways, and up and down, because I've read it about, I don't know how many times now. And speaking of that, I handed my editor like a big stack of Fist of the North Star profiles for characters, right? I did the Shin one not so long ago, and a lot of people really enjoyed it. So you can look forward to coming up Rei, Jagi, Amoeba, Toki, and Yuta. So those 5 are waiting to get their own individual videos and drop on their own times. So things to look forward to. Hopefully it won't take too long. I got kind of on a roll and try to change in formats a little bit. And I don't know how well people like that. You guys will have to tell me. Because with the Shin video, I kind of went off the cuff and just gave you my bare thoughts about it with no pre-scripted anything. But with these, I tried to script them ahead of time and read the script. And the only reason I'm doing that is because, 1, it saves time. 2, it keeps my editor from having to edit out all the that I always do, because I can't help it. I just don't think about that when it happens, and I'm not a professionally trained broadcaster or something who's been doing this for 50 years and knows how to get around that. But the other thing, too, is I've seen a lot of other people putting out videos, and even when they're just talking about like mundane things, like, characters in a game or stories in a series or something like that, they tend to run scripts. And I'm not talking about the ones where the AI guy reads the scripts. Those are pretty noticeable. But I mean, just regular dudes just reading it from a script, and you can tell it's scripted and it's edited and it sounds nice. And I thought, well, if I want this Fist of the North Star character profile thing to keep going, maybe I should kind of invest in trying to script these things out rather than scrambling around and trying to find all my info, the day of when I'm trying to record it and, leaving things out and making a mess of it. So, to my audience who normally tunes in for my kind of off the cuff, candid sort of, unscripted opinions and things, I hope I'm not doing you guys a disservice, and I hope you'll be forgiving of me for doing that. I think you'll enjoy the format. I did try to add a little bit of, drama to each of those things and tried to tell a story of the characters as much as give you some good information and character breakdown. But we'll see. I'm not sure when the Ray video is going to be dropping, hopefully within a few weeks or so. But anyway, we got people to put on this show, and we got a show to show. So, see, I'm not even making any sense because I'm not scripted. So let's go, Mr. Grimm.
So
what's going on, man?
Nothing.
Okay. Das Wolfen.
Hello.
Good to see you. All right. And a surprise panelist. We've got the Stay Buffed Marshmallow Man, Victor.
Yeah. What's up?
It's good to see you, bro. I missed you.
Well, you invited me, so I figured I've nothing else to do. I'll drop in.
Dude, I always invite you. I mean, you've got an open invitation anytime you want to come.
I'm still in the intro. I saw actually my name.
Yeah. I haven't changed it.
Yeah.
And our guest today, the basic expert, John. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
Doing all right. Well, I could say one thing. I will not be getting any interviews with Kelsey Dion for almost a year or more.
Oh.
Yeah, I sent an email to her at Arcane Library, and one of her assistants wrote back to me and said she is knee deep in writing the Western Reaches books and has committed to not taking any interviews until spring of 2026.
Oh, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, which good on her, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I can appreciate that. She gets down there and grinds away and gets it done because God knows I'm terrible at that.
Yeah, she promised to come on Natural once at some point, so I'll have to see if she may be available next year.
Yeah, why not? I mean, just send her an email at Arcane Library.
Well, I'm special. I have her on Discord.
Ooh. I'm not that lucky. I don't know her that well yet. We had Driving and Dragons. Daniel just came by to drop a like. Didn't want to come hang out on the show. Okay. All right. Well, all right. So, why do we got you here today, John?
Well, I have a pre-launch page coming up for White Box, which is my Zero-E clone. So, I put a call out there. I'm willing to talk to anyone about it because I want it to be successful, and I want to talk to people about it in old school D&D. So here I am.
Awesome. And you know what? Like I always say, man, we support our friends on this channel. Do you got a page for that so we can pop it up?
Yeah. Let me get the. I'll share the pre-launch page here. I'll throw it in the private chat for you.
Okay.
We support our friends and curse our enemies.
We don't so much curse them. We just kind of wish that they would get better.
The box doesn't level drain, does it?
No promises. I can't promise you anything on that front. If you make your saves, you don't have nothing to worry about. So
Levels up as it drains the energy from its owners until it ends up as a limited edition steelbot.
Go ahead and I'll do the picture in picture so everybody can see it. If you're not wanting to go check it out right this second. Gonna get weird here in a minute. Bloop. There we go. So, oh wow,
It looks nice.
cool. Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I thought with this time around, this is my second Kickstarter. So what I did there is that's a 3D model of everything that's going to be in the box. So it's not actually the actual thing. I just 3D modeled everything, all the components. But that's roughly what it's going to look like. So
Yeah, looks great.
I'm curious. Are you gonna? I've seen a lot of other people whenever they release retro clone type stuff, and whenever they're trying to do the 3 book format, they always kind of put the same wood paneling on the sides of the box, like the original one. You can do that too.
I'm just gonna keep it white like that. I just kind of like the look of that. I know the original. It's kind of funny because it is the original run was that like wood paneled thing, and then it became known as the white box because that was like the second run, I believe. That I think there was more of that. So, but I don't know. I like it. It has like a cool border around it and stuff like that, and some of my art on the cover. I don't know. I think it was just going to be nice and clean like that, at least for this box set itself.
Yeah, the artwork
always
does look good.
I always appreciate a play on words. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's no white power, but it's still good.
Well, that's already taken. So, but yeah, so it's I guess like where to start with it is what makes it different from any other like white box clone of Zero E clone, and what I have found in looking at a lot of Zero E clones, and it's not to say that they're bad or that I don't like them because I do love them. Like White Box FMAG, fantastic medieval adventure game, is one of my favorite games. It was one of the first OSR games that I picked up when I was like inquiring into it. Delving Deeper is one of my favorite ones. Swords and Wizardry, Iron Falcon. These are all games that are really Zero E at its core, but they always draw from either Greyhawk or from later editions or from later like strategic review issues. And what I wanted to do with like the initial version of White Box, which is for free on DriveThruRPG, was sort of like do a thought experiment. And it was, what if it was 1974? I just bought the White Box and I just bought Chainmail. How would I run this game? Like what would I do to make this work without really looking at anything else? I do reference some later strategic review stuff, but that's mostly in the appendices. But I like if I all I had was the 3 LBBs and Chainmail. How could I make this game work? So that's what I'm trying to do. And I don't really know. I know there's a couple people out there that have tried to do that. So I just there's less of that though, and I wanted to put my own kind of hat in the ring as far as that is concerned.
Yeah.
I think it's cool. The only other like Zero E clone I've ever seen was I can't remember it, but I think it was called something box. Also, you remember what it was called?
There's white books. That's
WHITE box. Yeah.
And that's referencing like that second version that everyone got.
Yeah.
And I like that one. I think that's who does that one. I have it on my shelf right here.
Uh-huh.
This one right here. Oh, I'm covered, but you can't see it. But
hang on, let me fix you.
This one right here, right?
Yeah, that's the
What
one.
you're talking about? Yeah,
Yep.
I love this game. The thing about it though is that like the way it leans into the D6 only damage, which is what I do in White Box. But it does like, and it's what I did in Makuhito as well, which is like, well, the dagger does like 1d6 -1, the sword does a d6, this weapon does a d6 +1 to sort of differentiate it. And I think it's because they're not using things like weapon class, or I extrapolated some weapon versus armor modifiers from the man-to-man tables and Chainmail to function on the D20 alternative combat system presented in 3 LBBs. So like I'm doing that. Like this is like great. I don't see anything really wrong with this book. I think it's great. Go out and get it. It's cheap and you'll have fun playing it.
Oh yeah.
But it's still fundamentally like a different game. Like I think fighting capability is another mechanic that I sort of lean into, that sort of draws from the chainmail elements, that really makes the game feel different from even like this. Like this is going to give you something like a proto BX game, right? Where it's going to feel very familiar in that regard. Whereas white box is going to feel a little bit different as you look at like weapon class and like, well, okay, I'm using this weapon. It's weapon class, 4, and they're using weapon class 8 for their pole arm, let's say. And like, what kind of options do I have because of that weapon matchup? I might be able to parry. I might be able to get multiple attacks against my opponent because I can attack faster than him, but he might be able to attack me first because he has a higher weapon class weapon. So it kind of throws that kind of stuff in there. And I feel like even if you don't use the weapon versus armor tables from the man-to-man tables that I extrapolate, which I put as optional, even if you use weapon class, all of a sudden to me it like clicked. It was like, oh, it doesn't matter if every weapon is a D6 because yeah, getting stabbed is getting stabbed. It's just the weapon class sort of makes those weapons feel different as far as like when you're in a situation and facing up against opponents and stuff like that.
So much more leaning back into the old Napoleonic games where the troop weapon versus troop weapon was pretty important.
Yeah. Because chainmail has that in there. And when you look at that, because to me, like when you look at the 3 LBBs, it always, and I see like why, who made this book? Charlie Mason. I know why I can see why Charlie Mason did what he did here with like, the dagger does a D6 -1 because he's trying to make it on the D6, so keep it in that tradition. But he also, but what's the benefit in if everything does a D6 per that 3 LBBs of using a dagger over using say like a pole arm? There's no real mechanical difference present in the rules of the 3 LBBs unless you reference chainmail, in my opinion. And then all of a sudden, like I said, it clicked for me. I'm like, oh, well, the dagger like is going to be pretty screwed against the pole arm. Like the pole arm is going to get to attack first. The dagger might get multiple attacks if you can get in close, but if he tries to parry, it's going to break the dagger or he's going to drop it. There's lots of rules like that are extrapolated from chainmail. They're like, oh, okay, that's why this makes the dagger useful in this specific situation and the pole arm useful in this specific situation, but they all do a D6 of damage. Because again, to me, it makes sense. It's like getting stabbed is getting stabbed is getting stabbed. It doesn't feel very good, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, having had like some surgery back in March, I can definitely tell you that getting cut in the abdomen region, even under surgical means with anesthesia and everything else, it sucks. It really sucks. So I can just imagine getting, gutted in the middle of battle. That's especially when, something to heal you might not have been readily available.
Yeah, and to me, like it also syncs up perfectly. So every weapon does a D6 of damage in white box per like 0E, but every class is on a D6 hit die. So I don't know how many people know that because this does it too. Again, this does it too, and a lot of those clones do it where if they're not referencing Greyhawk, they keep every single class is on a single D6 hit die, which I kind of like because I think it extrapolates really well. And then if you want to do the mass combat and you want to even like use the chainmail resolution systems that are like the D6 dice pool, or if you want to use the 2D6 man-to-man tables, it fits very well within all of those resolution systems as well. So
just kind of as a side thing, and I don't want to detract from your stuff, but I was actually talking to Grim a few months back, and I was actually thinking about this with the fact that, the casters across all the different versions of D&D are so powerful, especially when they hit higher levels.
Mm-hmm.
And, the fighters really can't stand toe-to-toe with them after a while because, it's, the mages just got so many good defensive spells and offensive spells that they can, whittle a fighter down pretty quick. So my thought was to invent a system where fighting classes, classes that get like +1 base attack bonus per level, start getting what's called exchanges, which is, every combat round, your fighting type gets 3 exchanges where they can either, attack, or they can attack, parry, dodge. And it's almost like a little game of rock, paper, scissors every time you go into combat.
Mm.
But it lets your fighter really dish out the damage very quickly, even against multiple foes, and show what they're worth.
Yeah, I mean, I actually solved that problem in White Box because Chainmail had the solution to that problem, and it was fighting capability, which is listed in the 3 LBBs. When you look at the classes in the 3 LBBs, and it has fighting capability listed in that, and it says in the books, like, this is for Chainmail. So when you look at that, like, for instance, a level 4 fighting man, and I made a video last week or beginning of this week. I think it was, I can't remember. It's summertime and my kids run around, so I never keep track of time. But I pit a level 4 fighting man against 5 goblins, and if you were to do that in BX, and I did this, I didn't show it in the video, but I experimented with this. If you use BX rules, like, that fighter's probably still going to die. He doesn't really stand that great of a chance. But in White Box and in 0E, if you're using fighting capability, like, it's like Goblin Slayer, you know, like, he's going in, he's like butchering, he's just going through these mooks like crazy. And the reason why is because as a fighting man at level 4, he has the fighting capability of hero, which is in Chainmail equivalent to 4 men. So he gets 4 in White Box, and in 0E, the way I interpret it, he gets 4 attacks as a man, as a normal man, per every turn. So he gets to make 4 attacks as he can make 4 attacks as a level 1 fighting man, or he can make 1 attack as a level 4 man against, like, mythical monsters and things like that as well. So that means he has a higher chance to hit against the harder creatures. But when he's facing off against like goblins and lower level creatures, like, he can spread out those. He can attack, you know, like, do like less finessed. I view it as he's doing less finesse tactical strikes as his max level, and more just like he has the martial ability of 4 men, normal men, and he can dish out 4 attacks and fight as 4 men. And so he just, like, you can, like, cut through a lot of different foes in that regard. And I think that it fits into the war game mentality and aesthetic where, you know, I think that the D&D heroes are supposed to be, when battle's going on, they're supposed to be heroes on the battlefield, and they should be cutting through, in my opinion, they should be cutting through swaths of, like, low level, you know, bad foes, you know. And so to me, it works pretty well. I've ran multiple games of this, play tested it for a while now, and I think it works out pretty well. And it overlays well into mass combat as well. You just make, you know, 4 attacks. He's on the battlefield. If you're using miniatures, he makes 4 attacks against enemies, and, you know, if those attacks land, that's like 4 kills against an enemy unit. And he's, again, on the zoomed out 1-to-10 ratio war game battlefield. He's doing the same thing that he was doing in the dungeon crawl. So
it's like Dynasty Warriors.
Yeah. And the thing is like, the fighter has always been like that. That's the frustrating thing. And I agree with you, T-shirted. Like, he kind of got the raw end of the stick, in my opinion, from, I think, later developments in the game. Because a lot of people, and in this included, they reference a later strategic review article, which makes his multi-attack ability only useful against 1 hit die or less creatures.
Yeah, which I never liked.
And in White Box, and there's no such limitation in White Box, and there's no such limitation, in my opinion, in 0E. Like, if there's a higher level, like a higher than 1 hit die creature that's within range of you, one of your 4 level 1 fighting man attacks can be directed at him as well. You might not hit him as well if you attack that higher level creature as your full level, but you can still kind of maybe take out 3 mooks and get 1 strike in on the bad guy if you're lucky, you know, in that process. So I think it leads to a more cinematic sort of mode of gameplay, but it also harkens back to those wargaming roots. And I like the way it feels in a place, and I feel like it fixes the fighting man, and makes him on par, because he's the martial gold standard in White Box in 0E, where he's the best at that. He's going to get the most attacks out of anyone else. He's going to be the best at it. He's going to have the best to hit chances, the best fighting capability. So, and I think that's how it should be. That's like what he's good at. So the player playing that kind of character should be given that, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. That was one of the things that I actually liked about Scarlet Heroes so much, because Evan Crawford's approach to that was to use the fray dice.
Sure.
Yeah, and I think even Grimm got to where he liked it as well, because it kept the wizards from running out of spells.
Yeah, it made the most sense with wizards because it was basically you could use it as an offensive cantrip or whatever. The way you're describing makes me think of like the sword fights in the Barsoom novels.
Yeah.
John Carter of Mars fighting his way up a staircase, taking out like 4, 5, 6 guys at a time, sort of thing.
Sorry. Go ahead. I'm just.
I
excited.
was to say that was an influence I know on early D&D, and they did put out that unlicensed Barsoom war game, which had some common DNA with very early D&D. So yeah, that's interesting.
What was the edition that kind of nerfed them? Was it BX?
Well, I think it was Strategic Review issue 1 where the fire got the first nerf. So not pretty soon after. Gary nerfed it pretty quick because I think it was an article written by Gary himself where he gives an explanation of the fighting man taking on a group of orcs. I think it's a level 4 fighting man against 8 orcs. And the way he specifies it, he explicitly says that in that article, it's only against level 1 or 1 hit die creatures and below that he can do this multi-attack thing. But there's no such limitation actually present in the 3 LBBs or in Chainmail, in my opinion. So it's like, I get maybe he felt like it was too powerful. Maybe I don't know why he went that route, but it's kind of stuck that way ever since. Like AD&D has the same kind of level of nerfing, in my opinion. BX is like really nerfed, you know.
Yeah, BX is hardcore.
Yeah.
So
5e fighters actually are fine in my opinion. Like I don't know, I've played them. They're pretty deadly.
I mean, but yeah, it's like I think 3rd edition was the only one where you started to be able to get multiple attacks at first level, but even then you were kind of limited. I think like the most broken class I remember seeing in 3rd edition was from something called I don't remember the name of the supplement. It was like something stone, and they had an archer class in there that could shoot 3 arrows at level 1 because of their specializations and all that stuff, which was like, whoa. I mean,
in white box, the only way you're going to get multiple attacks at level 1 is by weapon versus armor matchups, or weapon versus weapon matchups. So like, let's say you're using like a sword against a spear. The spear might be able to attack you first, but you might be able to do 2 attacks against the spear, the guy holding the spear, while he only gets 1 against you because your sword's a little faster. So if you can like it's kind of simulating like he gets to poke at you first, maybe you get killed or maybe you get wounded. But if you can fight your way in, you're the guy with the spear is going to have a hard time defending against you.
Yeah. So you're bringing weapon speed factor back into this?
Well, yeah, that's what weapon class kind of does. It's not quite like AD&D where it's affected in segments. There's no segments in 0E. That was a later AD&D edition where Gary sort of took weapon class and changed it to weapon speed and had it affect in segments. But this is merely just like if you have a spear and I have a sword and I'm charging at you, you're going to get to attack me first. Then if I survive that, or if you miss, then I get to go in and I get to do 2 attacks against you because my sword is faster and you can't defend it as quickly. And I think this also makes sense with 0E because 0E uses 1-minute combat rounds like AD&D. And for whatever reason, I think it was based on the Warlock kind of homebrew hack. But BX switched it to, or Holmes edition, I think, switched it to 10-second rounds, which stayed the same in all BX later editions, I believe. But to me, like, it's hard to do if you're a fighting man and you have 4 attacks, for example, and then maybe you get 2 more based on the weapon matchups. So like, again, the sword and spear example, let's say I get 2 more and I'm a level 4 fighting man. So I'm getting 6 attacks in that round to land damage and potentially kill people. It makes way more sense in a 1-minute round to be able to do that, in my opinion, than it does in a 10-second round.
Definitely.
So, but yeah, I'm trying to add. I have added that kind of stuff into it, and it's again all based off just my reading of Chainmail and 0E. So,
yeah, I mean that's totally plausible to me. It's like I point out to people all the time. It's like Chuck Norris had hand speed where he could like throw a punch. It's like every quarter of a second. So it's like it's like in 1 second he's hitting you 4 times.
And I think
that is top.
I think that's one thing. Like I think BX sort of changed the mentality of how we view attack rules too, because when it compressed time in combat rounds to 10 seconds, then all of a sudden that one attack roll you're making is for one singular attack more than like we started to view it as that. Whereas I think in 0E or even in AD&D, because there's multiple attacks in AD&D, Gary is very explicit in AD&D, for example, that it's more of like it's one attack roll isn't really equivalent to one attack. It's more just like there's this Errol Flynn style back and forth parrying and swords, and like through all that cinematic play, maybe someone gets cut, and that's what the damage is for.
Yeah, it's an abstraction.
It's combat's. I think combat in 0E and in AD&D is far more abstracted than people kind of realize at this point. Kind of looking back, because with 5E and with BX and with a lot of these later editions, we've come to view the attack roll as equating to a single attack, and it wasn't originally viewed like that.
Yeah,
people picture it like Final Fantasy like 7, where you just like it's your turn and you jump in and you swing your sword and you do 9,099 damage, and then you jump back and then it's the other guy's turn and it's like, well, I did my one attack. That's what but no, it's supposed to be like you said, that one attack roll is that one attack maybe in the flurry that you're doing that has like the actual potential to hit.
Yeah, I have to agree, and that was one of the things that I always thought was kind of a pain in the ass about AD&D and other editions is the fact that if you were rolling up like a random encounter, like let's say with just like wolves or orcs or something like that, it's like the number appearing column on there always had like, like 5 to 200 or whatever. And I'm just kind of like, what is a first level party going to do against 200 wolves that show up out of nowhere?
Well, I mean, 0E has that same thing. I think that's just the war game element. So there's like a couple ways that you can go about it is, if there's a lot of them in a small party, I believe in 0E and in White Box, I have to go back and look at the rules as I have them. But there's a higher percentage chance of being able to evade large armies. So, for example, I was running a solo game, and I remember of White Box a while back. I was just testing some things out, and I wanted to test that. So I wanted to test the evasion rules because I just had a small little like level 2 party that encountered, I think, 300 orcs that kind of marched through like the marshes in my solo game. And I was like, well, this sucks. Well, goodbye adventuring party. But then I was like, I'm going to use the evasion rules and see. I rolled for surprise. And actually like I had surprised the orcs. So I was like, okay, we're just going to like lay low and hide. And I used the evasion rules in 0E, and it's like, okay, well, they were able to kind of sneak away. And to me, it's kind of cool. Kind of what can you do with that, like story wise in a game, where the party sort of they're not strong enough to take on 300 orcs, but all of a sudden they were like essentially scouting and saw 300 pass by, evaded them, and maybe they can get around them and get ahead to where they're going. Maybe they're heading towards a village or something like that, and they can warn the people. There's lots of different adventuring opportunities with those kinds of mechanics.
An encounter doesn't mean a combat encounter. Like
sure.
Okay, like you encounter 300 orcs. It could be like in Lord of the Rings when they're like huddling under the elven cloaks on that hill, like that ashy hill, and the army is passing them by, and they're like just trying to stay hidden. You encounter a dragon. Okay, maybe it's flying up in the air far above, and it's it's just doing its own thing. That's also why reaction rolls are a thing. Like there's all sorts of stuff that influences that.
Oh yeah, and morale rolls too are extremely important.
Yeah, I think, but I do like those large appearing numbers, and generally the way I use it is like in the dungeon, and I have this rule in White Box kind of derived from 0E. So when you're in the dungeon, the number of appearing is based on like the number of party members times the dungeon level equals the number of hit die that they face. So that's a good easy way of like calculating how many of those monsters can appear. Quick and easy way. Because there's no real like there was no separation yet of like number of appearing as far as like here's how many are in a lair, here's how many like random encounter just out of nowhere, they're just kind of patrolling, and here's like in the dungeon sort of separation. That wasn't until later editions. But when they're on the wilderness, if you're walking on the wilderness, like to me that's when you're going to potentially encounter 300 orcs like a war band just sort of walking through wanting to slash and burn stuff, And what's the party going to do? If they have their own army, cool, you can have a battle. If they don't, they got to lay low and hide and run away. No shame in running away in old school D&D. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and that should be what actually happens. I mean, it's like I ran a group of seasoned veterans. We're talking like guys who've been playing since like the 70s of Hyperborea, which is very much like old school D&D.
Mm-hmm.
And, check this out, okay? So they're traveling with a caravan, and they make their checks for, anything coming or anything like that. Well, they notice a group of bandits who are on their way to engage them. I mean, first they notice signs of bandits, or other people, being, attacking at this area where they're heading into. Then they actually see them coming, and they have plenty of time to do something about it. So they wait until, the barbarians are close enough to get into attack range. And at this point, they still have, a couple of rounds that they can do something. I said, okay, they're about 3 rounds away. You have 3 rounds, you can do something. What are you going to do? And they start using ammunition on them. So I'm just kind of like, okay. So you're wasting ammo on them. I mean, yeah, ostensibly they can take a few down because it's, equal level creatures, but still. So finally the bandits attack, and I figured, okay, so I split it up to where it's kind of like, okay, most of the bandits are going to be attacking the caravan and the caravan guards trying to get their stuff, which leaves a little group of them to peel off and attack the actual party, which is 3 members. So they face a total of 5 bandits between 3 people. Rather than, try to run or do anything, they decide to try to stand and fight. Well, one guy gets critted and gets hacked in half immediately, and the other 2 go down in very short order. But I had it to where it's like, okay, well, you didn't go into like, negative con and hit points, so you're still alive. I said, later on you're bandaged up and you wake up in the bandit camp. You've been, taken as prisoner/slaves or whatever to be sold off. And those players were just livid with me. I mean,
and you said these are people that were like, they're from the good old days too?
Yeah. Hey, Caster.
Oh, that doesn't always mean that they played right. Let's be fair. We've seen that online for 40 years.
40 years, yeah.
Either that or they've been tainted by current think.
Sure. I've had the first BX game I ran for some friends who had played BX back in the day. They had been playing 5e for far too long, and they brought over some of their habits from 5e into the BX game. And they had a similar situation to that, where they encountered 9 bandits. They first thought there was only like 4. They were still outnumbered though, because there was 3 of them at the time. And they didn't think to purchase any hirelings or hire any hirelings either. And they're like, oh, we're gonna take them on and fight them. And then like 5 more bandits spill out of a wagon that was there, and they're like, uh-oh. And I didn't kill them. I just had it to where they got beat up and had all their stuff robbed, and they're like left. They literally got like stepped outside of town, did this, encountered the bandits, tried to fight them, got robbed, went back into town pretty much naked, and had to kind of restart things from the beginning there. And they learned a lesson. One of them was like, who played BX? He's like, oh yeah, I forgot that this is what happens. So,
I mean, and BX is pretty unforgiving. I mean, it's like some of the stuff that they hit you with is like no save, or save or die, and it's just kind of like,
I ran a game of. That's so good.
I was gonna say, and this is the game. This is the very first Dungeons and Dragons game I ever learned how to play, because Basic was the very first thing I ever got was BX.
I ran a game of Modern Necessities using Keep on the Borderlands, and the party, they got surprised on like 8 bandits, and they were using like shotguns and stuff, and they killed like 7 of the 8 in like a round or 2, and they were all like, yeah, we're awesome. And then I had to remind them, like, yeah, but this only happened because you got surprised. Next time, if they surprise you, they can do the same thing to you. So like keep that in mind. And then that kind of like, made them calm down a little. It was like, oh yeah, maybe we shouldn't be, feel quite as badass as we did.
Yeah, when I ran Darwin's World for Grim and our group. I used Kevin Crawford's rules, but I also used his heroic rules. So literally all PC weapon damage was equivalent to hit dice, not hit points. So it did make the party kind of overpowered, which was fine because I wanted it to be kind of heroic and make everybody kind of feel like, hey, yeah, you are big and badass. You can do something. You can actually affect change in this wasteland. And yet we still had one player who decided, he was going to take on a swarm of like 200 sand ghouls. And I'm just kind of like, yeah, I know you do a lot of damage with your guns, but do you really just want to be the last one out of here and then try to hold off this entire pack by yourself? Yeah, I'll do it. Okay. So yeah, he got taken down and eaten.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Yeah, that's what happens. Caster, you're muted. You're muted, bud. Try that again.
Oh, whoops. Well,
Yep.
Some people just want to have that heroic last stand moment.
Yeah.
That's
mean,
what
I
I was
guess so.
saying while I was muted.
And
Sometimes it's worth that heroic death.
I get it. I mean, from 3E on up to 4E and 5E, has all been kind of like more of an emphasis on heroic PCs who can, deal with dangerous threats like this and not be too concerned with it. But, old school play is kind of like every fight you get into is like life or death. So you really have to think about it. It's kind of reminds me of old school Warhammer because it's like, you could get into a fight in Warhammer and it's like you might survive, but your character would come out missing a nose or some fingers or, Grim, what's the worst Warhammer encounter you ever got into?
We had a dwarf troll slayer.
Ooh.
And we were fighting a hydra and he got blasted with acid and it burned all of his skin off and left him with like strength 1, toughness 1. He was just feeble, but he was still alive. So we helped him get a heroic death by getting a giant to swallow him. And then he just stabbed it to death from the inside and dosed it with poison. So he got to die a glorious death.
That
works.
perfectly fits a dwarven slayer, though. So to me, that is still kind of like heroic and cool, and perfectly fits.
It is still kind of cool, yeah.
But I think the worst, most comedic injury we ever had was a guy was playing a really old grizzled guardsman. First encounter, goblins, stab, critical hit, takes out his left eye. Next turn, goblin attacks him, critical hit, takes out his right eye.
Oh, that's when you become Zatoichi or
Power
from Blind Fury.
That's what I said, but he was very upset.
Yeah.
Wow.
But the funny thing though is,
If we're playing Traveler, that can happen before you even start the game.
Yeah,
so
that's true. I've also had that happen in Traveler. But the funny thing is, T-shirt in like 0E, like John was saying, like actually can be pretty heroic. It was only after 0E that suddenly they started like nerfing the fighters, and then around like 2nd edition, like they started kind of like vamping it up again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what their reasoning behind that was, and certainly by 3rd edition, Monty Cook got a hold of D&D and he just decided wizards should be the most powerful things in the entire universe, and fighters should go and eat my crotch.
I wonder if Gygax is trying to move away from like chainmail and kind of make D&D its own thing. I don't know.
I think so, but there's some elements of chainmail that still appear even in advanced in AD&D.
Mm.
So I think he just sort of streamlined everything onto the D20. As for why the fighter is like nerfed in AD&D compared to like 0E. I mean, it's still pretty much in line with the multi attacks against like 1-hit die creatures, I think, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong. It's been a while since I looked at that ability, but I mean, that's still useful because like when you're encountering a bunch of level 1 or 1-hit die things and they're kind of in your way, it's nice to just be able to chop through them and get to where you need to go or take them out. But I also think that it makes it even cooler if it's not limited in that regard. So, and I think that it's perfectly in line with what chainmail specifies and what Zero E specifies. And the reason why it's for that, because in chainmail, once you get to the hero level, hero fighting capability, you're able to fight on the fantasy combat table, which is that matrix of like 2d6, where if you're a hero fighting a Balrog, you got to roll like a 9 or more, which I don't use, but there's a lot of implications within Zero E, in my opinion, that show that the hero fighting capability, or a level 4 fighting man, for example, other classes get that fighting capability much later. Like wizards don't get the hero fighting capability until like they're level 8. I forgot what I was going with that. The one of the reasons why I believe that level 4 hit die or hero fighting capability is important is when you look at the ghoul text in Zero E, it says that all normal figures are paralyzed by a ghoul except elves. And to me, that means that a hero is not normal anymore. He doesn't have a normal fighting capability anymore. He's a hero. So actually, heroes are immune to paralysis of ghouls in Zero E. So once you reach level 4, the paralysis of ghouls for like a fighting man, they don't affect you anymore. And that's why elves are capped at level 4 fighting men, in my opinion, and level 8 wizards, because that's when the hero fighting capability is achieved by them. But they already start out with a heroic ability of being immune to paralysis. So when I kind of made that connection, and some of the guys on my Gilded server, we were like, when we were diving into Zero E and Chainmail, we were like discovering all these things like that. It's like, whoa, it was really kind of mind blowing, because like, whoa, this game is like way more. It has such a reputation of being like mudcore. I think that's a term that a lot of people use, where it's like, you're lucky to get to level 3 and live, and it's there's just a degree of that, but like the rewards are also really there for how powerful your character can become in any class, not just the wizard. So, I think it's fun, and I think it makes those other classes like a cleric or a fighting man fun to play, in my opinion, because they can do extra stuff as well. That's neat. So
maxed out elves are pretty nasty.
Yeah, they are. But here's something that's kind of funny, because it goes along with that too. And Ironcaster, you got your drink? Okay, here we go. So Kevin Crawford sent out his Ashes Without Number PDFs yesterday. Grim's getting his too. It's the drinking game. Yep, get your booze.
I only have water.
As a reminder for all the folks out there, we have a little bit of drinking game. Every time T-shirt mentions Kevin Crawford, we drink.
Or Fist of the North Star. But I just wanted to draw your attention to this. This is actually one of the foci from the new book. The Zombie Smasher foci. And this is at level 1, and this is something you can pick up at level 1. As a main action, kill up to 6 zombies of 1 hit dice or less within range of your weapon. Using a gun, expend 1 bullet or charge per zombie. Each uses ability and scene after the first adds 1 system strain. So, yeah, even other systems are starting to kind of get the hint that it's like, regular peon encounters and stuff maybe should be a little bit more mitigated by people who are able to handle it.
Yeah, but even that rule there is very much influenced by the strategic review article, in my opinion, with the 1 hit die thing. Because again, in White Box, I don't make any limitation like that at all. So again, like if there's like 2 goblins and a troll there, and you're not trying to hit the troll, and you're like, I want to use my level 1 attacks against all the creatures there, like you can try and hit the troll with one of your 4 level 1 normal man attacks if you want to, or you can use 1 attack against the troll at level 4 as a fighting man to hit him, or whatever level you're at.
Well, in the defense of this, all the zombies pretty much are 1 hit point or 1 hit dice. It's not until you get to the more advanced ones, like the Hulks and all this other stuff, that they start to get to multiple hit dice.
I've used that strategic review type rule where it's like you get an extra attack against a certain hit dice, but I always kind of like make it so it kind of levels with you. So it's like I usually do it like it's like creatures equal to like 1/3 your level, like rounded down, something like that. So at least as you're leveling up, like eventually you're doing it against 2 HD creatures, 3 HD creatures, and there's still a cap to it. But I never liked that idea. It's like I can only use this against like goblins and orcs and stuff. I can't use this against like a bugbear who's like 2 HD.
And he's standing right there.
Yeah, so, exactly.
He's standing right there, but I can't use this ability.
Yeah. So
my
so
sword.
I always kind of like I use the same rule, but I always scale it up a little.
Yeah,
well, that was like that. That's like the 3rd edition rule for guns. It's like if somebody is prone next to you and like 1 square away from you, like 5 feet away from you, they get a -4 to AC because they're prone.
Yeah.
I mean,
if I remember right, the AD&D rule was the old rule was you could make a number of attacks equal to your level for against single hit die creatures.
Yeah, which is based
on
like the strategic review article,
right? And then like half hit die creature, you could do twice your level, and quarter was 4 times your level.
Yeah.
So basically, you can plow through an entire army of kobolds at like 10th level.
Oh yeah,
which is cool. I mean, it still works, but I kind of wanted to give it a little bit more because I think wizards are very powerful. And another aspect of it is magic users. The spells in 0E are very vague, and I keep them as such in white box. And so, like, I like that because I like seeing spells applied in very creative ways where you're like, I would have never thought of using a spell that way. And I do think, like I said, it just gives the fighting man and the cleric something else to do that makes them good at what they do, as opposed to the wizard. And they're better at protecting the wizard so that the wizard can get to that higher level and become like the human artillery in the background there. You know.
Oh my God, we got a Crafty. Crafty.
What's up, Crafty?
There's also other stuff in 0E that people miss, like the fact that like it's like only fighters can use like magic swords and stuff like that. So you can you can literally have the sword from fucking Elwick of Melnibone.
Mornblade and Sword Stormbringer.
Like, nobody else can have that. You can have that.
Mm-hmm.
I think the theory behind that rule is not just to make fighters cool, but because clerics at the time were the only other martial class that could wield weapons. And I think they're partly limited to blunt weapons, not just from like some code of like chivalry and what's humane, because smashing someone in the face with a mace is pretty brutal still.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But because clerics have to be lawful, or they have to like really stick to their alignment. And a lot of those magic swords have egos and alignments and like can control you. And so to me, it seems to make sense from like a clerical order standpoint, where they're just like, I'm just not going to touch a magic sword because who knows what's going to happen. I'm going to flip alignment and become like an evil cleric and start serving evil. And I don't want to do that. So like, I'm just going to bash people in the face with a mace.
As much as I hate to, give World of Warcraft a lot of credit on stuff like this, because there was a time when World of Warcraft was really good, but or actually I should say it's Warcraft 3. Arthas the Paladin, who starts out the game with his big old golden hammer smashing everybody, and he's a heroic unit. But over the course of the game, his righteousness kind of falters and things, and he picks up, this rune blade. And after that, he kind of starts to slowly devolve into evil, and eventually he becomes the Lich King. And I'm just kind of like, gee, that's very D&D-esque.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of swords in 0E, they have, like I said, they have egos and intelligence ratings, and so like if you touch a sword, first of all, you can get damaged by touching a sword of the opposite alignment than you, or if you're neutral, you can take like less damage, but it still happens if it's not the same alignment as you. And then on top of that, like you're constantly, if it's a sword with ego and intelligence, you're constantly battling your own ego and intelligence as a character against the swords. And so if the sword is an evil sword that's like, I thirst for blood, I just got to feed off of blood. Give me blood. Yum, yum, yum. And you're a cleric and you pick that up. It's like, well, that's no bueno. So I think that's the origin of that. But yeah, that Vic's right. That's another rule that like a lot of people kind of miss is like, the fighting man is the only one that can wield magic swords. And I think that's neat. I think again, it's one of those things that makes that particular class like useful and interesting. Because some of those magic swords too get to the point of being like spell cast, like they can cast spells and they can do like really cool things. So you can kind of almost become this spell sword type character if you get one. That's neat, you know.
Yeah. Now, okay, my curiosity is, as we know, the original OD&D only had 3 classes in it, which is cleric, wizard, and fighter. So does this?
Yep. I only have those 3 classes. I am working on my own little version of Greyhawk. I'm calling it Whitehawk, where I'll have those extra classes. Like I'm going to include like the illusionist, the ranger, the paladin, probably the monk. Even though I hate monks,
you gotta have the thief.
The thief is in the appendix in an appendix in book 1. I do include it in there because I know people love the thief, but I didn't want to, for tradition's sake, I didn't want to include it with the 3 core classes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So he's at the end of the book. You can still pick a thief.
No bard.
I'm going to probably put a bard in there. I think I did start working on the bard class of adapting it from. I'm adapting all those classes from strategic review articles. I'm not trying to look at like AD&D and trying to zero EFI those, because I think those things kind of already exist in those strategic review articles where they were first introduced. So I'm trying to like make those fit in that regard. So, and I might make some new classes too that are just original for me, because it's going to be a supplement. That one will be down the line. It'll be a supplement book. So it's like, I can kind of go a little more crazy with that and have fun. Make new stuff that people maybe haven't seen before that I want, not be so bound by like trying to be a proper homage to the original classes, but make something new.
Yeah, that makes sense, and that's actually a great idea, because it's like once you get your base rules, then you can kind of go crazy. But I mean, OSE did the same thing. It's like they brought out all their base books. And then you buy all their other books and supplements, and you find out, oh, look, there's all kinds of crap in these things that I would love to add.
But I think like giving someone a really good core base game is more important to me, and being true to what 0E was. And I do think, having run the game with just those 3 classes, I do think that those classes are enough. Personally, it's fun. Not to say that a paladin or a thief or anything like that isn't fun. Those are great classes and they're awesome. And they do add something to the game. But I'm just saying, like, if you only run a game with magic users, fighting men, and clerics, like, you can still have fun, and the game will still work perfectly fine, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
I thought this was kind of. I was writing at a comment here. It's like Driving a Dragon says rolling for damage for an AC 130 would make a Shadowrun player blanch, and I'm like, I was like, grab every D6 you own and your friends, roll them for damage.
Well, if you want to use an AC 130 in D&D and BX specifically in OSE, Modern Necessities, $14.99 on Vive RPG.
Whoa, you got an AC 130 in there?
Yeah, I've got it's called a gunship because I keep it generic, but basically that I've got like 8-10 Warthogs. I even got like suitcase nukes and like all that stuff. So yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah. For nukes though, I don't put any damage. It just says death.
It's just kind of like this it's like everything within this mile radius dies.
Yeah, basically, yeah. I was like, should I figure out damage? Is it like 100 D8 or whatever? I'm just gonna put death.
Yeah,
you're probably on a list now. You know that, right?
Yeah, I did Google a lot of things that probably did put me on the list. Yes. How do plastic explosives work?
Look, you're not doing D&D right if you aren't on some list for the things you've had to Google.
I mean, Gygax was on lists. Let's be honest.
Yeah, he probably was.
No, yeah, he literally was like on the FBI list. That's like,
I was
miles that you can get.
I was looking up a bunch of stuff yesterday because I'm building a campaign now that I've got Ashes Without Number and I'm planning on running it. So I was looking up all kinds of crazy stuff, and I was kind of like, how much of this is going to get me flagged?
Don't forget the whole Steve Jackson versus the Secret Service thing.
Oh God, yeah, the whole the cyberpunk book that he put out. Yeah, I remember that. They went into his office and they seized all his hard drives and everything else, and then when he got back, a bunch of it was missing.
Yep.
Man. White Box has its own AC-130 series. It has more dragon encounters than any edition I've played.
Wow. It's true. It's more like you're more likely because the encounter tables are smaller in 0E. There's a lot of chances. Like dragons are pretty common. The game was old school D&D lived up to the title of Dungeons and Dragons because there were dungeons and there were lots of dragons. Yeah. Crafty played in a white box game, and they were always crossing this desert, and there was a blue dragon that kept appearing in that desert, and I just kept saying it was the same blue dragon, and they were always just trying to run from it as they're trying to cross the desert. It was good times.
Yeah, Dragon was probably having fun with them.
Age when dragons were still common, and then BX and stuff is like the second age, and then
Yeah, by fifth age they're just an inconvenience.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a dragon. But
they're a player race serving frappuccinos in the Magic School coffee shop.
So. Yeah, exactly.
Welcome to Red Dragon Hot and Coffee House. We serve it piping hot.
Again, infestation of miniature feral dragons in the coffee shop.
Yeah.
I
dropped my dragon in the toilet.
I would probably go to Dragon Cafe, let's be honest.
Yeah, I would too. But it's like this is one of the funny things I always like to point out is in third edition. I always laugh about this. I don't know if it was a discrepancy or somebody overlooked it or somebody didn't think about this. But if you look at the third edition fireball spell, the third edition fireball spell says specifically that it will ignite combustible objects that are hit by the spell, right?
Yep.
But it doesn't have that entry for any other fire-based attacks, creatures, or anything else. So it's like, I always made the joke. It's like, a wizard detonates a fireball in a library, and the library is destroyed utterly down to the last thing. A red dragon walks in and breathes fire. Whatever its target is dead, but all the library books and everything are fine. They don't catch on fire, nothing.
It's magical fire.
I mean,
spell fire.
Yeah, the dragon just has his breath made to, I don't want to hurt the books. I might want to read those.
Dragons just have Robocop's targeting system. That's all it is. Beep,
yeah.
Beep, beep, beep.
I get you though, because every time I put like a fire weapon in one of my games, I do feel obliged to put in hey, anything in the environment that's flammable will probably catch on fire because of this.
Oh shit! You know what, Victor? I just thought of something you need to add to your book. You need to have breath weapon duck bills.
Okay.
How you have your shotgun, and how you can have a duck bill on your shotgun to make your pattern go vertical.
Yeah. I mean,
come on. Yeah. Why not? Dragon, sticks a duck bill in his mouth, and now the flame comes out like a big wall.
I do have dragon's breath wounds, like in
real life.
Mm-hmm. Like in real life, yeah. It's a thing.
Yeah.
Pull the trigger, tiny little dragon sticks his head out of the barrel.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Green dragon breath rounds. Be sure to be a hit at the party.
That's true. That would be fun. Having different dragon's breath rounds for all the different kinds of dragon's breath.
Well, isn't there a dragon back in second edition that has a euphoria? No, the fairy dragon has a euphoria breath. So go to the party and start jacking out rounds of fairy dragon breath. Euphoria clouds all over the party. Oh man, what is this?
I'm gonna have to make that in a codec in my upcoming game.
See, look at that.
Yeah,
we helped you.
It's like a euphoria breath, in a little vial that you snort or something.
Oh my gosh! Well, no kidding, Magnificent Devil. They were after the BBS at SJG ran back. I used to run a BBS, and our community was targeted a lot by feds. No kidding. They were. Yeah. Well, we know why they were doing that. But
I think, you can literally look up the FBI files on Gygax, and it talks how he was an armed libertarian and stuff like that. So yeah.
I don't know. I never saw Gygax as some gun-toting guy. I always thought he was just like, a nerd
no,
with a
yeah,
pocket
no,
protector.
No,
He-
apparently
he
he
was-
carried a gun everywhere. So
Yeah,
Wow. And he did cocaine.
yeah.
Wow.
for a little bit, I think
A
he,
little
I
bit.
think he mellowed out as he got older. But
It
Yeah.
was the 80s.
It was
chilled
the
out.
80s. Yeah.
He was the '80s in Hollywood. So
Yeah. That's back when movies were good.
And he went from like kind of like a Midwestern dad type to all of a sudden be like thrust in the spotlight, like in his 40s. So I could see how maybe he wanted to have some fun, like like a little bit of a last hurrah.
What is this, Daniel? My cyberpunk group rigger, Mr. Studs, with a hallucinogenic gas as an acid duck grenade.
No.
What?
Those are all words, but I don't think that's a sentence.
I mean, it makes sense in cyberpunk. I get what he means. In the
Daniel, did you just-
context makes sense.
Did you just hit yourself with the euphoria gas? I don't know.
My old cyberpunk character was called Vanilla Slice, and he literally had like that. You know how that's like I can't remember what to call, but they make themselves look like actual people. So he looked like Vanilla Ice, like from the '90s, but he was a street samurai, and he called himself Vanilla Slice.
Well, I mean, why not? I mean, it's like what is it? Atom Smasher actually ran around in a full conversion body that looked like a young Elvis Presley. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
you could do that stuff. That
Did
was
a lot of
cool.
Smashing probably done.
Uh-huh.
He did. He
Very
was.
much.
He did. He was smashing one of Arasaka's daughters. I forget which one, but
Yeah.
that was a thing.
Yep.
Anyway,
My net
All right,
runner
guys.
was named Babbage and used to run around in turn of the century suits.
that actually sounds kind of cool. Man, now I can't wait for Edge Runners 2. Damn it. Wait, what? Is this a typo?
is it still typos? No, I don't think that's a typo. That sentence makes perfect sense. So
That
In
kind of
Cyberpunk.
does. That's pretty original. I mean, the only thing I would think about putting in one of those is, like a glow stick. It's like, oh, bend his thing in half, and oh, look, it glows in the dark.
Yeah.
Never mind that he's
was
screaming in pain now.
Triple
Anyway.
X parody of Speed. You have to keep your Hitachi on moderate setting at least, or it'll explode.
Oh my god, that sounds perfect for one of your tabletop sessions. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, we've had our hour. I want to be mindful of everybody's time. So what do you think? Do we have anything further or?
no, thanks for having me on and blabbing about old school Zero ED&D and chainmail for.
No, dude, it was super fun, man. I honestly enjoyed it, and it kind of insightful to me too, because there was some things I certainly didn't know about it, and I don't profess to be like a expert on it at all.
There's stuff.
And,
I've
and
forgotten.
I'm not pulling any puns on your name or anything. But I'm being serious. It's like, I do fancy myself a historian, but I'm kind of like a real world historian, not a games historian specifically.
Not elf game historian.
Not
what
so much.
What am I
mean,
doing with my life? Oh my god.
yeah. Actually, okay. You want to know the height of aggravation for me is I didn't know who the hell Ben Riggs was. I didn't know who he was, and then I had to look him up, and I'm like, this guy only has like 500 subs on his YouTube channel, but he managed to pull Kevin Crawford onto it. What the hell? I'm doing something wrong.
Hmm.
But oh, wait a minute. We have Eclectic Goat. Since I'm breaking my no electronics rule today, I thought I'd stop in while I make dinner. Oh, well. I wish you'd have stopped in on the show. It would have been great.
Didn't Ben Wicks write one of those D&D histories?
He did.
Yeah, he did. That's why.
I think his is a little better than Peterson's, though. I think he's less. I know his. I don't think he let his ideology creep in as much as Peterson did.
Someone else is crowdfunding another history, but it looks like it's just
It's my buddy Dom.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That could have done with being a bit more professional looking before it went live, I think. And it's wears its politics on its sleeve, that one, I think.
Yeah, I'm fine with that though. After multiple books that wear the politics on the sleeve on the other end.
True.
So, I mean, then
True.
like no, you can't complain. Like, okay, now a more right wing guy is doing it. Okay, well, whatever.
Yeah, when WotC brought out their own history book and like everybody decided, you know what, I need to take a X-Acto knife to these 5 pages here, and then the book's perfect. So.
I'm not even sure Dom is all that wide wing either, because I don't like I've seen him like post anti-Trump stuff and like all sorts of things. So I don't know. What do I know? I'm Dutch.
Are the bros doing a red text version?
Oh.
Now the fortune.
Sorry, you guys are talking at once. Can you all one at a time? Das, what were you saying?
I just said everything Gygax said in red text. So
Oh yeah, like the Jesus edition. Yeah. And what about you, Ironcaster?
And now for the history of D&D as told by 4chan.
Oh no! I can only imagine what that would sound like. That would be awesome.
it'd be better than told by Reddit.
Yeah, probably.
Well, that's what basically those other history books were.
Look, the only reason I check out Reddit is to check out the feet pics. So
I looked at Reddit recently, and I found some people talking about my stuff, and of course they were trashing it. So hey, thanks Reddit. Well, there was
Did you
some nice
expect
people
anything
in
else?
there, but yeah.
Yeah, but at least 4chan was kind enough to like collect and preserve your works.
Jeez. All right, guys. Well, let's close her up for the day then. Thank y'all for hanging out with us today. And do we have a game tomorrow?
In theory, but not
In theory.
Not if the temperature's over 30 again. Centigrade.
What is that in American?
It's too hot. That is.
Yeah, he's got to do the calculations
86.
online too.
That is
Wow.
86 Fahrenheit.
Okay. Well, but also remember, like their houses are meant to like keep heat in, so it becomes more unbearable.
I mean,
And the heat
Grim.
It's different here, and it's very, very humid.
Yeah, Grim has to, bring the animals like the pigs and stuff in for warmth during the winter. Because
Well, Missouri has double 100 days.
I'm in Texas, man.
Yeah, 100-degree heat, 100% humidity.
Yeah, air conditioner blasting away on 75, going, I'm trying.
Is that anything like hair conditioner?
It might as well be.
Soft?
Yeah,
It's 94 degrees where I'm at right now.
Mhm.
It was
Daniel's
good.
like the heat index is over 100 there. Yeah, I can believe it.
I was building a shed in my backyard before we came on, so that was good times.
It's only
Ugh.
65 here right now outside, but inside it's like probably like 90.
Yeah, it's like I weighed 150 before I went out there to work. Now I weigh like 130 because like I'll sweat.
Man, I wish.
Yeah, that would make it easy, wouldn't it?
That's like even not even half of me.
I was about to say, Victor, if you weighed 130 pounds, you would be like skeletally thin.
At my lowest, I was like 169, I think, when I was like 20-ish, and I have like an old picture where I look like I should be like in the 1940s, like so, yeah.
Well, you're like what, 6'3"?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
short for a Dutchman.
Yeah. Pretty much. You're not wrong. Like I'm pretty average over here. There's like a kid. I live over a supermarket, and there's a kid that stocks the shelves downstairs. He must be like 7 foot tall. He's like fucking a unit.
Jeez.
You guys are all Nephilim there in the in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
It's like the
I'm a
Maasai.
fat ass right now.
So-
I'm like 280. So yeah.
They,
It's like
they
the
got
Maasai. It's so flat there, so being tall lets you see a lot further.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
my theory is that they have to like pull start the windmills, so they got to make them tall to reach the blades.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us today, John. Thank you for being on, man. I appreciate you, dude. I love you. I love it when you come on.
Not a problem.
And,
Thanks for having me on.
Oh, anytime, man. Anytime. And Victor, same with you. Ironcaster, Grim, John. It's good to see you guys. And good to see all you out there in YouTube land. Y'all take care and have a great week in Geek.
Bye, everyone.
On behalf of the staff of the Independent California Motel, I wish you all sweet dreams.